Welcome back, TESOL 2022. I'm Amy Sweezy. We made it. It's the end. It's Friday. Everybody is so excited. This is our final interview here in the live TESOL TV studio for the week. And my last guest, we saved the best for last, Ayanna Cooper, a TESOL blogger and board member. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
I know you've had a big week.
Yes.
A lot happening, a lot of people to see,
Yes.
a lot of things to talk about. First, let's talk about your blog. I know you wrote a series of blogs recently, and you're a blogger for the organization. Tell me about one of the topics that's most special to you.
Sure. Thank you first and foremost for having me. I am glad to be here, TESOL member, and I'm currently serving on the board of directors. And I had the opportunity before I joined the board to write a blog series, a year-long blog series about the civil rights mandates for primary and secondary students here in the United States. But of course, the topics could be relevant to a lot of different contexts. And it was at the same time I was actually writing a book on the same topic, but I was able to use the blog to flesh some of the issues out, think more critically about them, and share pieces of the journey before the book was actually published. So that's one of my contributions to TESOL that I'm most proud of.
So what was something that you learned while writing that blog?
Well, I learned that some of the concepts seem simple, but to actually have them come alive in school communities can be complex and multidimensional. And there are no simple answers sometimes, and we have to work through context-specific situations. The school communities are different, the learners they serve are different, the languages spoken are different, and so how do we take all that into consideration but still do our absolute best by children and their families?
So writing the blog, like, what's your ultimate goal? What would you love to see happen after people read your blog?
Sure. So I would, one of the parts of the blog is I would kind of talk about a mandate and then really flesh out a what would you do situation. And I purposely wouldn't include an answer because I wanted readers to think about the implications regardless of what was decided. And that was really fun to kind of leave the reader out there to grapple with it and think critically. And then those are the types of conversations that have continued offline when people ask, what happened with that situation? Or here's how it's similar to my school. And what do you think? So those were fun.
Okay. Now you're also a board member as well. So I do want to ask, what is your advice for someone who thinks, oh, I can't do that. I don't have the right skill set to be on the board. What's your answer to them?
Sure. Well, I would say for them to think critically, not only about what they think they don't have, but what skills and strengths do they have that would be of service to the association, because the board is a diverse, experienced, multicultural group, and we all really bring in just everything that's needed and more. So I would say think more about what you do have to offer and the areas that you would be interested in developing, go for it.
And what about people who are members, maybe not ready, for a board, but maybe just volunteering in their affiliate or in another program or council?
Yes, that's an easy one. So past President Andy Curtis said wants to play the long game, and that has really stuck with me, which means there are lots of opportunities to contribute. There's lots of opportunities to share ideas and for them to really seek out where they can benefit and also they can serve. So for example, with an interest section, or maybe working closely with TESOL staff members on a short-term project. Because you're right, it doesn't have to be one experience right now and done, but if you're part of this community, we're growing and changing all the time. So get involved, make those connections, and that is really why this in-person conference is so meaningful, because it was all of the we started with, social distancing, or people just went right in for hugs and it was really nice. And I appreciate people wanting to see us, outside of the Zoom, if you will. People saying, you look different, or you look the same, or not recognizing each other. But that was really, really meant a lot to me this week, for sure.
And everybody's back in person after being all virtual last year.
Yes, for 2 years.
So
2 years virtual.
Exciting to be able to be here. And hopefully then next year in Portland.
Yes.
But the challenge, I think, is okay, you're here, you're excited, you see everybody, you're finally back, you know, so much information overload and speakers and exhibits and teaching tips. How do how does someone who attended take this information, keep the momentum going,
Sure,
and
sure.
not be like overwhelmed by all of it?
Sure. Well, I'm looking forward to getting some good deep sleep this weekend, and
Yes.
Monday and Tuesday having a really light schedule, so I can unpack and just kind of get some rest. But again, think long term, and the people that I have either met for the first time or reconnected with, I have more coffee and lunch dates now that will take me through the summer that I'm really excited about. I was standing in line at Starbucks, and I ended up talking with a colleague, and then I agreed to be on some wonderful project, and people were just looking, but I said, but this is TESOL. It happens in line while you're getting coffee, right? Like, that's what makes us so unique, and it was just really exciting. So thinking about, meeting with people however you can. It doesn't have to be within the immediate future, but really staying connected. If social media platforms work for you, my TESOL, whatever works, I'd say do that. I'm a little bit more of a old school email person, but that works for me, and I'm excited to follow up with people that I've met this week.
Okay, so keep it going, find a way to volunteer.
Absolutely.
And get
Absolutely.
involved,
Absolutely.
and then see you in Portland in a year.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure.
Sounds like good advice. All right, thank you so much
for
joining us. Our very last interview, as I said, we saved the best for last. Ayanna Cooper.
Thank you for having me.